Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone who were well. And salutation and much love to the Akim out there pushing out his word in truth and sincerity. And just want to do a quick video, Lord's will is edifying. Just a PSA to the fallouts, all right, the sellouts, or how to pause the hard name it to the apostates, the sellouts and agents. But I want to include specifically fallouts, all right? Because you put your hand to the plow, and so did you sellouts, so did you apostates, so did you agents, all right? But, you know, let's say you're not an apostate, you're not changing the doctrine, you didn't sell out, okay? You're not an agent, but you just fell out. Well, guess what? You're still going to be judged horribly, okay? Because you should have, like the scriptures say, let's get it. Because all of the above, right, that was mentioned is going to receive damnation, okay? And horrible judgment. So let's go to Luke chapter 14, verse 28. It says, "For which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it?" Yeah, so you put your hand to the plow. All right, you found yourself out there teaching. You did videos. All right, you was out there, you was learning. And then here it is. You just go back into the world. Well, you're done. You're through. You didn't finish the race. You're a loser. You're a quitter. Like that. Like the saying goes, winners never quit and quitters never win. Verse 29. Lest happily after he had laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him. And the Most High is going to mock you when your fear cometh upon you. Proverbs chapter 1. Saying this man began to build and was not able to finish. Let's see what the other translations say here. Where is it? Luke 14:28. Let's see what it says. It says, but don't be in the NLT, but don't begin until you count the cost. So a lot of you didn't count the cost. You just wanted to be part of something. You maybe during COVID, you shook up because we got a big influx during that time, the C19. Or even before, there's a lot of guys that have been around for their years, decades, and then don't finish. They put the plow down. It says, for who would begin construction of a building without first calculating the cost to see if there's enough money to finish it? Yeah, you spiritually ran out of money. You ran out of oil. Otherwise, you might complete only the foundation before running out of money, and then everyone would laugh at you. They would say, there's the person who started that building and couldn't afford to finish it. You couldn't afford to finish it, but now you're going to have to pay with your life. All right. And if you did come into this and you was what? You was probably lukewarm anyway. That's why the Lord spewed you out. All right. And then again, because you didn't count the cost, you didn't consider what it was going to take to continue in this. Right. This is Revelation 3:16. So then, because thou of 15, I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would that thou were cold or hot. Yeah, you in the middle. You just getting by. You just doing the bare minimum. Well, why are you here? You don't want to give your all to the Lord, but you'll give your all to a whore, a bitch, your job, some bullshit in the world, and that's why they end up going back. That's why they end up falling out. All right. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. That's why they end up. It's not that they want to leave. It's because the Lord made them leave. The Lord spewed you out. Let's see what verse the NLT. Let's see here. I know all things you do, that you are neither hot nor cold. Yeah, because the Lord's always watching. What are you doing throughout the week? All right. What do? You just show up to camp and then you bury. It's like pulling teeth for some guys to do videos, and then again they just end up leaving because this ain't for them. It gets exhausting. They get disgruntled, disenchanted. But the Lord's watching. You know, come around, brother. Shalom, shalom. That's right. You know, but the Lord knows you. The Lord knows what you're doing. It says, I know all the things you do, that you are neither hot nor cold. I wish that you were one or the other. Yeah, you either go back in the world or be in the world, be a complete bug out demon, or just be on fire for this truth, man, in whatever capacity that may be, because everybody has a different talent, right? Everybody has different measure. But are you maximizing your efficiency? Are you utilizing the talents the Lord gave you? Is the question. You're not gonna be like you're not gonna be like Apostle Har. Don't compare yourself to other men. But are you maximizing what the Lord gave you? Verse 15. I know all the things, and again, if not, the Lord's gonna spew you out because you didn't count the cost. You didn't consider what this was gonna take. You got to be a real man to endure this race. I know all, verse 16, but since you are like lukewarm water, neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. And that's what the Lord does with a lot of these fallouts. All right. Or they end up selling out. All right. Or become apostates, start bringing heresies, wayward doctrines, or they're just agents and this wasn't for them. They're like, fuck this. I can't do this no more. I ain't getting paid enough for this. You still all of y'all fall under the same category. You're gonna get a horrible judgment at the end of the day. Okay, but again, going into this the fallouts, the ones that let's say they just fall back into the world, right? They didn't teach no heresies. They didn't sell out, take a bag, or they weren't agents. They just fall out, go completely back into the world. We've seen it come and go over the years. Well, guess what? The reason you was lukewarm is because you were slothful. Okay, you wasn't putting in the effort. You wasn't in your leisure time. You weren't learning. You was bullshitting. And again, all that bullshit will catch up to you. Proverbs 21 and verse 25. The desire of the slothful killeth him, for his hands refuse to labor. And guess what? Then the Lord say the harvest is great, but the laborers are few. This is, you got to labor in this word. All right, you got to put in the work. You got to study. You got to watch the videos. You got to read, meditate on the words of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. Grow in the spirit. Okay, reflect, examine thyself, and so on and so forth. But the slothful man, he don't want to work. He just want to hang around and eat chicken. You see, he don't want to do the work, but he'll be the first one to put his hand to the chicken and the wine. Right? That's not what this is about. We weren't called here to eat chicken. All right, and hang out, which we do, but that's after the work is done. Okay. Proverbs 21 and 25, and let's see which one. It's reading the NLT. Despite their desires, the lazy will come to ruin, for their hands refuse to work. See, the craving in NIV, the craving of a sluggard will be the death of him. See, you're being sluggard, you're being, slothful in this ministry. Well, it's gonna be the death of you, because again, you're gonna end up quitting. You're gonna end up tapping out, because you didn't count the cost. You ain't built for this, and not everybody is. You should, but again, you should have just come to grips with that before you put your hand to the plow, before you crossed over, right? Because not everybody's a prophet, not everybody's a teacher. Some people just believers, but once you put your hand to the plow, now you're required to finish what you've begun. Let's see here. Romans 12 and 11, not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. You're supposed to be fervent to serve the Lord, not slothful. That's the slothfulness is being lukewarm. Fervent is being hot. You're supposed to be fervent in the spirit to serve Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. But again, a lot of guys think this is a game. You just around to hang around, and this is a fad. But again, it's the time. Eventually, the lukewarmness is going to show itself. Okay, and then you're going to find an excuse to get up on out of here. But hey, nobody's being held hostage. No one's required to do anything. You can go about your business. Just know the judgments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Al-Shai is going to get your ass. Okay, let's see. Because again, you picked up the tool, right? You picked up the laboring tools. You begun, and now you left the project halfway done. Now somebody else got to finish for you, and that's fine, because that's what the Lord does. Luke 9. And I'll just go straight to the point. Verse 62. And Yahweh said unto him, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of the Most High. Okay, you put your hand to the plow, and now you put it down, you're not fit. You're not fit. That's why, and again, that's why the Lord get rid of you, because you would never fit in the first place. Lord brought you around. If they were of us, they would have no doubt continued with us, but they were not of us. Okay, let's get that real quick before I read that in the other translations. Was that 1 John 2, I think? Let's see here. Let's see here. Not of us. Let's see. Not of us. I know it's in First John somewhere. Not of us. First John. Okay, that was right. See. First John 2, and I started 18 because this is you fallouts, you apostates, you sellouts, you agents, and you fallouts, right? This is what you are. First John 2 and 18. Little children, it is the last time, and as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come, and that's what you are. You fall out of this truth, you're an Antichrist. Even now are there many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. Clearly it's the last time. All right, we're at the end days. The end days of the end days. Verse 19, they went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. But they went out that they might be made manifest. They were not all of us. Point blank, period. Let's see, Luke 9 and 62 in the NLT. But Yahushua told him, anyone who puts a hand to the plow and then looks back is not fit for the kingdom of Yahweh Bashim Shai. So that's plain and simple. But what's going to happen to you, though? Because you picked up the plow, right? You started doing the work. You took on the duties. You took on the responsibilities, so to say. But then you quit. Well, Luke 12 and 47. And that servant which knew his Lord's will and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. See, you're going to be beaten with many stripes. I'll start 46. The Lord of that servant will come in a day when he looketh not for him, and at an hour when he is not aware, and will cut him in sunder, and will appoint him his portion with the unbelievers. So you're gonna be, even though you know this truth now, you go back in the world bugging out, but you're gonna be given a portion of the unbelievers with the unbelievers, and you're gonna be beaten with many stripes because you know better. Verse 48. For he that I'll read 47 again. And that servant which knew his Lord's will and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. But he that knew not and did not commit things worthy of stripes, yeah, somebody that don't even know what's going on, never put his hand to the plow, shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. The Lord gave you the most important thing on this earth. His knowledge, wisdom, and well, you never had the understanding. You just knew. All right. There's one that teaches many but is unprofitable to himself. See, guys don't change their ways. They're not truly serving the Lord. And it eventually it's going to show itself. And to whom men have committed much, of him they will ask the more. All right. So that's what's coming to you bug outs, whether you're a apostate, a sellout, took the bag and changed the doctrine, or you're an agent. What are you around for? Esau paying you for no reason. Esau need to fire your ass and get his money back. Right? Or if you just fell out and went back to the world like a bug out, a complete loser, you're going to get a horrible judgment. We'll finish off with that. 2 Peter chapter 2. Verse 9 says, the Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptation and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. So you're going to be punished. But chiefly them that walk after the flesh and the lust of uncleanness and despise government. Yeah, these are the apostates and these sellouts. And again, they're just the complete bug outs out here in these different camps. There's a lot of them going to be judged too. They're teaching. If you ain't teaching 100% truth, you're going to get judged. Presumptuous are they, self-willed. They are not afraid to speak evil of dignities. That's why you got this clown Captain Crunch, Captain Tazariak, speaking evil of Apostle Tahar and other apostles. And he ain't the first one. He ain't the only one. They're not afraid to speak evil. He called him a POS. The Lord heard that. Every idle word he's going to have to give account for. Verse 11, whereas angels, which are greater in power and might, bring not railing accusation against them before the Lord, but these as natural brute beasts made to be taken and destroyed. So again, the apostates, sellouts, agents, spies, fallouts, you're going to be destroyed. Speak evil of the things they understand not, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption, and shall receive the reward of unrighteousness. This is what the PSA is about. This is what you're going to receive if you're of the above. All right. as they that count it pleasure to ride in the daytime. Yeah, you got a lot of Israelites just having fun, getting down with having the Hanukkah with Muslims. Just partying it up all the time on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. That's not what this ministry is about. That's not what laboring is about. It say spots they are in blemishes, sporting themselves with their own deceiving while they feast with you. See, they're all over the internet making sport of this ministry. That is a damn shame. That's why the Hebrew Israelites get a bad rap. It's because of all these clowns. See, if we're gonna be hated, we should be hated for the word, not for buffoonery. All right, and stupidity. Having eyes full of adultery. Come on now. Got the women all dancing in the videos and shaking ass. It's a bunch of nonsense. And that cannot cease from sin. Beguiling unstable souls. Yeah, because they're leading the blind, lead the blind. They shall both fall in the ditch. The simple believeth every word, though. In heart they have exercised with covetous practices, cursed children, which have forsaken the right way. Yeah, they went astray and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Bozor, who loved the ways of unrighteousness. Yeah, just like in the wilderness. These are the same people that was gyrating when Moses came back down the mountain, but was rebuked for his iniquity. The dumb ass speaking with man's voice forbade the madness of the prophet. These are wells without water, clouds that are carried with the tempest, to whom the mist of darkness is reserved for. Yeah, they ain't got no water in them. They ain't got the living waters. All right, they're not flowing everlasting living waters, man. That shit is dry as hell. They got no oil. They dry it up. Them dry bones. For when they speak great swelling words of vanity, they allure through the lust of the flesh. Yeah, that's why these camps they got the numbers. These other camps, they got the big numbers. Why? Because they're alluring these people with the big old fancy words and the big camps and all the attires. Everybody's dressed the same and marching down the street like bug outs. It says, through much wantonness, those that were clean escape from them who live in error, while they and again, this is not going into the fallouts that were even among us. While they promise them liberty, they themselves are the servants of corruption. For of whom a man is overcome, of the same is he brought into bondage. Here it goes, verse 24. If after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Lord and Savior Yahushua HaMashiach, they are again entangled therein and overcome. Yeah, so that you came into this truth, you started building, you picked up the plow, you started changing your ways, stop eating pork, so on and so forth. And then all of a sudden, you went back into the world. You were entangled and overcome of the flesh. You got disgruntled. You didn't want to do this no more. It was too much for you. You couldn't do what you wanted anymore. Your woman was nagging you. You wanted to work. You want my job, my car, blah, blah, blah. We've heard it all. The latter end is worse with them than the beginning. Yeah, because now you got even more demons on you. All right. For it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than after they have known it, to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them. Yes, so you should have never picked up the plow. You should have counted the cost, because you would have been better, because like we read in Luke chapter 12, you would have been beaten with few stripes, but now you're going to be beaten with many stripes. But it has happened unto them according to the true proverb. The dog is turned to his own vomit again, and the soul that was washed to her wallowing in the mire. So you became dirty, unclean. You went back into it head first, into the deep end. And now you're through. You're going to receive a damnation worse than what you would have received if you would have never came to the truth. So that's a PSA to you bug out, you apostates, you sellouts, you agents, you fallouts, you bug outs, all you damn demonic, useless eaters that are just hanging around. All right. The Lord's got a special judgment for you. So with that, Lord's will is edifying to the hopeful elect. All right. We persuade men through the fear of the Lord. You don't want to leave this truth, because where you going to go? Like Peter said, to whom shall we go? You going to go back to the world to be filthy again? Hey, Mawath, La, the apostates, the agents, all right, the sellouts, the fallouts, Mawath to all of you, all right? So with that, I'm going to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash, Double honors to the elder apostles who rule well, and much love to the elect of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Shalom.